Hey, what's up everyone and welcome to today's video. This episode will guide you through the issues of... This channel's regular broadcast is interrupted for a special coverage of the first appearance of Rogue in Avengers Annual number 10, published by Marvel Comics in 1981. In the previous episode, we saw how the powerless Carol Danvers got thrown off the Golden Gate Bridge in San Francisco, only to be saved by Jessica Drew, the Spider-Woman. After some investigations, Jessica contacted Professor X of the X-Men and found out Carol was attacked by a person who goes by the name of Rogue. Rogue and her accomplice Mystique of the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants had both started dismantling the Avengers, stealing their powers and plotting a jailbreak of the rest of the Brotherhood. Once they had freed their fellow teammates, they found out that the rest of the Avengers and Spider-Woman had arrived and are going to try and stop them in their tracks. Avengers Annual number 10. The Avengers have assembled to try and stop the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants. They are now aware of Rogue having absorbed the powers of Ms. Marvel, Thor and Captain America, and will do their best to try and arrest and imprison all the members of the Brotherhood. Avalanche is the first one to attack the Avengers, creating a tidal wave of concrete, knocking most of them off their feet and launching the Avengers Quinjet into the East River. Pyro launches the second attack, using his control over fire, which he releases from the blowtorches on his arms, and creates a firebird from it. He attacks the airborne Wonder Man and Spider-Woman at the same time. Wonder Man tells Spider-Woman to get away from there, and she says that she will try and find Iron Man, who should be somewhere in the prison. Destiny picks up on her plans and tells Mystique about it, warning her that it's dangerous for them if Spider-Woman is successful in rescuing Iron Man. His power could tip the scales in the Avengers' favor. Mystique is going to pursue Spider-Woman, and knows that she is the one who saved Ms. Marvel's life. Destiny tells her that she should not let her hatred for Carol get in the way of their success. They part ways and Mystique leaves the leadership of the team in Destiny's hands, as she transforms herself in the guise of Nick Fury, the director of S.H.I.E.L.D. None of the Avengers see Mystique leave the scene, as they are all far too busy with trying to stay alive themselves. Destiny uses her powers to predict Wonder Man's movements and tells Pyro to change his attack, successfully as he strikes Wonder Man down, right into the hands of the Blob, who uses his full superhuman power to strike Wonder Man and hit him right through a building miles away. The rest of the Earthbound Avengers are trying to gather their bearings, as the Vision tends to his wife the Scarlet Witch. Hawkeye voices his worries with how easily they're getting beaten, especially with them not having dealt with Rogue yet, who is by far their strongest member right now. Beast tells him not to worry though, because he likes a challenge and they have only just begun to fight. Hawkeye fires a smoke arrow to cover Beast's attack, but all this is seen beforehand by Destiny, who warns her teammates. Beast uses his extraordinary agility to not attack the Blob, as Destiny foretold, but he uses his position and body to jump over him and attack Pyro instead, knocking him on the back of his head and unconscious. Boastful of what he just did, the Beast gets asked by Destiny if he plays chess or no, because then he should know that sometimes you sacrifice a lesser piece to take a major one off the board. Point in case, him getting buried underneath a building which gets smashed to bits and pieces by Rogue. Destiny knew exactly where Beast would end up at and made sure to deal with him accordingly after his attack on Pyro. The Vision surprises the Blob by raising himself out of the ground right next to him, using his density altering powers. Next he starts to solidify his body with his arm stuck inside of the Blob's chest, which should hurt the Blob, and it does, but the Blob can handle more pain than the average human can, surprising the Vision and catching him off guard. And the more the Vision density returns to normal, it leaves him vulnerable to Rogue, who hits him hard from behind, leaving him malfunctioning on the ground. Hawkeye thinks to himself he could probably better retreat, but since it's not his style, he gets ready to fire another one of his arrows. Destiny warns Avalanche and tells him to make sure that he won't be able to. Avalanche uses his powers, but he's not in time, as Hawkeye is too fast with firing his arrow. It's what he calls a screamer arrow, and it releases a flash and sound that shocks anyone close by, overloading both optic nerves as eardrums. With Avalanche having released his barrage of mass on Hawkeye, it does sweep him off the ground though, making him lose his bow and arrows and burying him underneath the ground. Rogue tells Destiny that even though the Blob has been disabled by Hawkeye's attack, she's doing pretty alright. And Destiny tells her that she should go inside the prison to help Mystique out, stopping Spider-Woman. She says it's crucial that Iron Man must not be allowed to restore his armor to full capacity. Over in the main generator room, Spider-Woman has found Iron Man, still incapacitated, stuck in his powerless armor. She asks him if he's doing alright, and Tony tells her that apart from his armor and his pride, nothing has been damaged. He tells her that he's never found himself in a situation like this before. After all the years of him being an Avenger and having been in so many battles, it actually scares him to having been defeated so easily. Jessica asks what happened to him, and he tells her about the device on the back of his armor which Mystique planted on him. She tells him that she will try and get it off him, at which moment she is being warned by Mystique posing as Nick Fury that the device might be booby-trapped. Both Tony and Jessica are familiar with the director of S.H.I.E.L.D. and consider him a friend. Tony whispers to Jessica that the person who attacked him, Mystique, appears to be a shape-changer and that Nick Fury is currently attending a NATO security conference in London, so that this person cannot be Nick Fury, and presumably is Mystique in disguise. Spider-Woman quickly jumps away from him, as Mystique starts firing her automatic rifle at the two of them. The bullets miss her and bounce off of Iron Man's armor. Mystique, even though Rogue had warned her about how fast she is surprised to see how fast and agile Spider-Woman actually is, as she keeps on firing and emptying her M16 at them. Spider-Woman wonders if the way Mystique's appearance is right now is her true form, and she notices it resembles the way Nightcrawler of the X-Men looks, which makes her think about whether they are related or not. She fires one of her venom blasts at Mystique, taking advantage of the fact that she has to reload her gun's ammunition. But as the smoke clears, she finds out she missed somehow, and there's no trace of Mystique. She decides to stay here and help Iron Man out instead of going after her. Outside of the building, Rogue approaches and sees Mystique running out, making it clear to her that Mystique was unsuccessful in taking out Spider-Woman and Iron Man. That's when she gets hit by a recharged Iron Man, who can't wait to exact his revenge on Rogue for mocking him while he was their prisoner, boasting about just how she dealt with and stole the powers of his friends and teammates. He hits her with full force and she feels it. But it's not enough. She strikes back and smashes him into the walls of the prison. The fact she felt his punch is making her realize she's starting to lose the powers of Thor and Captain America, making her wonder if the permanently acquired powers of Ms. Marvel will be enough to defeat all of the Avengers. Destiny tells Pyro and Avalanche that they must get this mission done quickly, because it relied on the element of surprise, and the longer it takes, the less of a chance of success they have. Pyro then tells her that he just needs a few more seconds to get his head back into it. Wanda, the Scarlet Witch, tells him that he will have all the time in the world, when he is back in prison, as she unleashes her mutant probability altering powers. The magic she conjures has a chaotic effect, and anything can happen. In this case, the prison's old gas pipes underneath the ground rupture and explode, knocking Destiny unconscious. Rogue sees this happen from high above, while she's strangling Spider-Woman as she gets blasted by one of Iron Man's repulsor rays. Spider-Woman is able to twist herself free from Rogue's grip and she falls towards the ground, wondering if there's enough time to glide on the currents, but Iron Man's there to intercept her. She's telling Iron Man to focus on Rogue instead, because she can tell she's weakening, which she is. Rogue herself is wondering what to do, since she cannot absorb a lot of the remaining Avengers' powers, and the ones she can don't hold the raw power needed to defeat the rest. While she's lost in thought, she gets hailed by Mystique, who is leaving the scene in the aircraft they came here on. Rogue asks her what about the others who are bound to get captured. Mystique tells her that she and her will be too if they don't leave now. She gives her a choice: stay behind and get apprehended as well, or get on board and stay away from imprisonment, so she can help her teammates at a later time. Iron Man wonders how Mystique had been able to get her hands on technology, like the aircraft and the inhibitor module she had been using against them, and concludes that somehow she has knowledge and access to America's most sophisticated weaponry, probably through S.H.I.E.L.D. At that moment, Spider-Woman points out to him what's happening at the courtyard. What's unfolding there is that when Pyro took control of the fire from the explosion caused by the leaking gas from the mains, he wanted to turn his monstrous creation loose on the Avengers to burn them alive, but the Scarlet Witch let loose her own powers and cast not 1, 2 or 3, but 4 separate spells, pouring her heart and soul on them, desperately trying to stop Pyro without being sure of the result they would have. Reality starts to shatter and warp and is reformed again, as Wanda unleashes her full power on Pyro's fire monster, changing it from seemingly living fire to living stone. Iron Man then makes a choice to help out his teammate, instead of chasing after Mystique and Rogue aboard the aircraft. He fires his rays at the stone statue created by the Scarlet Witch and blasts it to pieces. Hawkeye deals with Pyro before he is able to conjure up another fire creature and knocks him out with one of his arrows. At the same time, Wonder Man has been able to make his way back from getting knocked halfway across New York by the Blob, and carrying a rooftop water tank with him. And the Beast tries to free himself from the rubble he was stuck under. But he gets lifted in the air again, because Avalanche isn't done yet. He tries to totally cover up Beast with rubble, but this time with smaller material, basically trying to drown Beast in solid matter. But once again, the Scarlet Witch is there, to use her hexing powers to alter reality's probabilities, resulting in the Beast falling down from his contraption right on top of Avalanche. The Blob doesn't like the way the situation is playing out and is about to stomp on the Vision as he's taunting the Avengers. But the Vision systems had come back online again, and he's able to decrease his density and the Blob stomps on nothing but the ground. The Vision gets up and asks the Blob whether he will be able to do the same, as he blasts him with his thermoscopic eye blast. While he tells the Blob that the blinding effects will only be temporary, he asks for Jocasta's assistance. The Vision then requests her to blast the ground beneath the blinded Blob, and he asks Wanda to perform another spell on the rubble from Avalanche's attack. He knows she's weakened right now, from all the spells she's been conjuring, and Wanda knows that if he still asks her to do so, it must be for a really good reason. While the Vision and Jocasta are both blasting a hole in the ground, and with the Scarlet Witch altering the rubble structure, he then wants to ask Spider-Woman to rupture the water tower Wonder Man brought, but she's already blasting because she figured out what he had planned. She warns the Beast to get out of the way, as a mixture of water and dust-like wreckage from the building fills up the hole in the ground with the Blob still in it. Acting like as if it's quicksand, the Blob sees no other way than to surrender. And thus ends the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants jailbreak attempt. Some weeks later, at the Professor Xavier School for Gifted Youngsters, an Avengers quintet arrives. As the X-Men Carol and Jessica are lounging at the pool, Professor Xavier requests the X-Men and Jessica to join him back inside the mansion. The Avengers have been invited here to have a talk with their former teammate Carol Danvers. They have not talked ever since she left as Ms. Marvel with Marcus, and a talk is long overdue. Storm tells Carol that they will stay, if she feels she needs the support of her newfound friends. Carol declines though, as she feels this is something she has to do, by herself. Jessica asks her if she's sure about this, and tells her that she only needs to call out for her if she needs her support. There's an awkward silence as the Avengers gather around Carol. The tension is palpable and Carol almost breaks down as she panics. Beast tries to break the ice by simply saying hi and asking how she's doing. She responds by saying that she's doing better than expected, and that she'll never regain all of her memories, but that Xavier's helped her remember who she is, who and what she was. She now remembers her family, and she also remembers the Avengers. But she also remembers how and why she left them. It's all bits and pieces though, and she still has a long way to go. She eventually asks them to sit down and if they want something to drink. Hawkeye tells her she looks good and asks her what happened to Marcus, while calling them lovebirds, trying to make light of the whole situation. She then tells them that Marcus is dead. Cap is shocked to hear this, and Iron Man tells her that they're very sorry to hear that, and that they had hoped they'd be happy together as they seemed like a happy couple. He asks her if there's anything they can do to ease the pain, and that's when Carol actually does break down, spilling the drinks and asking them if they haven't done enough yet by causing the whole situation. Beast asks her what's wrong, and Carol apologizes for flipping out. Thor then tells her to not be ashamed since she has lost the one she loved. Carol then yells out no, and slaps Thor right in the face, yelling out that she didn't love Marcus, nor that she ever did. She asks them if they don't realize what happened months ago, what Marcus has done to her. Wonder Man suggests that maybe this visit was a mistake, but Hawkeye interrupts him, telling her that she had told them herself how she cared for Marcus and left of her own free will. She tells them that Marcus never left her any choice, and she then retells the full story. of how Marcus was a pathetic creature with the powers of a god, in the body of a man but with the emotional maturity of a child. In Limbo, he could do whatever he wanted. He used Carol as a means to escape once he got bored with that place. After his plan failed, he took her back with him, using Immortus' devices to bend her will. Even though he said he didn't want to, he still did. With just a subtle boost from the machines, he forced her to supposedly fall in love with him. He even admitted to it, and they were all there to witness it. They allowed it to happen. Later, when they had returned to Limbo, when he aged rapidly due to a miscalculation in his plans, in as little as a couple of days, before he even noticed, he had aged into an old and senile man. Not only did Carol's pregnancy and her giving birth to Marcus's body happen faster than normal, so did his aging. Within a week, he had reverted to dust. With him gone, Carol was no longer under his mind control, and she started learning about Immortus' machinery and secrets, allowing her to transport herself back home to Earth. Simon and Wanda ask her why she hadn't contacted the Avengers upon her return. With tears running down her face, she tells them she never wanted to see them ever again. She hated them, because when she needed them the most, they betrayed her. They let all this happen to her. Jessica is eavesdropping on the whole conversation as she wants to be there for Carol. She had heard the whole story before and was there when Xavier pulled those memories from her subconscious mind. She had never before witnessed such desolation on a human's face as she saw on Carol's, when she remembered what had happened to her. She was there to witness and experience it all the emotions, all of them. She just wants to be there for Carol now, and so does Xavier, but they have to let her do this by herself, no matter how strong the urge is to go downstairs. That's all they can do for her for now, as her friends. Carol continues retelling how it all felt to her, getting pregnant by an unknown source, going through the pregnancy literally overnight. Confused and terrified, shaken to the core as a hero, a person and as a woman. How she turned to the Avengers for help, but all she got was jokes. How the Wasp thought that it was great and the Beast wanting to play teddy bear for the baby. They were more busy with the baby than for caring for the supposed friend and teammate. They even welcomed Marcus and took everything he said at face value. No concerns whatsoever regarding Carol. And on top of that, they let her go to Limbo with smiles on their faces. Their mistakes, but it was her who had to pay the price for those mistakes. And Carol's own mistake was trusting them. She now has to deal with all of that. Deal with all the trauma it caused her. Instead of wallowing in bitterness and self-pity, she has to come to terms with this. She is now left with partial memories of a ruined life and she has to build herself up again. She tells the Avengers that there has to be more to being heroes than simply defeating villains. They have a role and a purpose far greater than themselves. They have to set examples and lead the way. They are supposed to represent what they should be, what they dream of becoming, not what they currently are. She tells them they screwed up, and even though that's part of being a human being, what's also being human is about is learning from those mistakes, to grow and mature. She tells them that if they are able to do that, even if it's only by a little, then maybe everything she had to go through will have some kind of a positive meaning. It's up to them now. As she picks up the spoiled drinks from the ground, Beast asks her what she will do now herself. She tells him she will pick up the pieces of what's left of her life, start over again and survive. Something she is good at. Wanda tells her that she would give anything for this to never have happened to her. She says she and the whole team is sorry. Carol tells her she knows, as she wipes the tears from her face, and she tells her not to worry about her. She's going to be alright. As the Avengers are back on board of the Quinjet and are making their way home to the mansion in Manhattan, the Vision notices a great sadness in Wanda. She can't help but wonder about what if this had happened to her. They only tried to do good, but instead caused irreparable harm. Things will never be the same, for Carol or for them as a team, as Avengers. She feels vulnerable in ways she could never imagine. She failed a friend, and as much as that hurts, it hurts just as much as the fact that she's even capable of such failure. The Vision tries to comfort her by saying that they, as a team, as heroes, have learned a lot today. They will emerge from this stronger than before, more resilient. They have failed, acknowledged it, learned, and now must grow from it. They have been granted a second chance, just as Carol has. And the next time something like this will happen, if it ever will, they will be wiser than they were, and perhaps they will not feel like they have in the case of the woman named Carol Danvers. Thanks for watching this video, and I really hope you enjoyed it. You can help growing this channel by hitting the like button and by subscribing if you haven't already subscribed. This tells YouTube that the videos I'm making should be recommended to others and would be very much appreciated. See you next episode.